Hello all, this is Halloween, and if you love costumes and Halloween as much as I do, you may want to subscribe because I'm going to be showing you how to make some awesome costumes without breaking the bank and maybe even using some items you already have at home. For today's costume, we will be recreating Annabelle from the 2014 film directed by John Leonetti, Annabelle. It is part of the Conjuring franchise, Ed and Lorraine Warren's series of movies that basically chronicles all of their paranormal investigations from early in their career, and they're incredible. If you haven't seen them, you need to watch them. If you love horror movies and scary dolls, this might be the movie for you, maybe even the costume for you. So let's get started. I love Annabelle. She's such a creepy doll. And they made her extra creepy in the movie. As you probably already know if you follow Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were the lead investigators on all the Conjuring cases, Annabelle actually was a Raggedy Ann doll. A very large Raggedy Ann doll. So they made her into this sort of more demonic, very scary looking doll for the Conjuring series. And this is just a doll that I have, little replica of her. I bought this online, this dress. It was Amazon. It's a pretty decent costume. I will say that it does run small, so order accordingly. The only thing I didn't like about it was that Annabelle had a sweetheart neckline. So I'm going to be just making this into a sweetheart neckline. And that's easy to do with just a little bit of thread. And then I didn't really like the belt. The belt kind of leaves a lot to be desired. So I have some extra material from when I did the Scarlet Witch. And I'm going to be covering it up with this satin material so that it matches to the satin material up on the neckline. And I'm going to be adding my own flower as well, because this flower looks pretty busted. This flower is one that I already had at home. I've had it for many years. I do the vintage glamour thing from time to time, and I'll rock that in my hair. It's pin. It's a hairpin and a safety pin. So I'm just going to pin it right on so that when I'm done, I can take it off if I want to use it more. And then I have just some white heels, regular white heels. These are the same ones that I used for Smurfette. I've had them now for almost a year, so I didn't need to buy anything there. The wig was also something that I already had. This is a human hair wig that I bought probably 2 or 3 years ago. So you can cut, style it, heat doesn't bother it. It's human hair. So I'm using this one for Annabelle. I cut bangs on it and I kind of styled the bangs with a hot iron. The wigs they have online for Annabelle are okay. You know, if you're being a doll anyway, and if you think about it, dolls wear wigs. Dolls have what's called a doll wig that's usually fastened on with some kind of craft glue. Now, I needed some ribbon for the hair, so I had a happy birthday bag here, and I just cut the ribbon off and I ironed it, and this is what I'm going to be using to tie up the ends of the braids for the wig. I wasn't sure if you'd be interested in seeing how I cover this belt up, but I'm going to go ahead and include it in the footage. And I also built this box. I built it out of 2 large-sized Home Depot boxes that I put together and cut out on all sides. And I'm going to be sitting in that to take photographs. That's it right there. If you can see it just outside my door, I'd been working on it. It's literally just 2 cardboard boxes together, and I used the extra cardboard to make the sign on the front. And I'll just show a little footage of how I did that too, just in case that's something that you're interested in doing. But we'll get started. Hello! Good to see you again. Let's get started with our makeup. For today's makeup, we have Ben Nye Aqua in Ultra Light. I've got some Ben Nye. Now this is a powder rouge. You'd put it on with a blush brush. I think that might be good for the cheeks. I have some Licorice Black. Ben Nye Aqua, Licorice Black. I have some Ben Nye White. First thing I gotta do is put in my contacts. There they are, blue eyes. I'm gonna get started with this, the Ben Nye Ultra Light. I'm just going to ultra light my face. And that's gonna be kind of like the starting canvas for this project. That's my kitty cat, Maceo. He's already starting at the door. He was in here before and he wanted to be let out. Now he's outside and wants to come in. You know the struggle if you have cats. This is his room, you know. And I just kind of want to look, the reason I chose this color, I just kind of want to look fake skin color, not like real pinky, kind of like a doll look. I do have a picture of Annabelle to reference as I go. So I'm just going to put this all over my face. So I was watching a little documentary. It wasn't really a documentary. These guys went and did an investigation on YouTube. They were actually the first people allowed to investigate the Warrens Museum, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now they were really popular paranormal investigators. Actually, they were like the only ones really doing it during their time when they first started out in like the late 60s through the 80s. And they worked on huge cases such as Amityville, you know, of course, the Conjuring, all of those, just about every major case they were involved in. And Ed was actually in the military, and I don't remember how they met, Ed and Lorraine. They met at an ice cream shop or something like that. I think they met at an ice cream shop, actually. And it turned out that she had psychic abilities that included being a medium, a psychic medium, and clairvoyant. And he had retired from the military and was studying demonology. In fact, became an expert in demonology. And they started working on cases. And the way that they did that was that Ed originally aspired to be a painter. But he was always intrigued by these homes that were said to be haunted. So the way they first started their investigations when they were just starting out, just getting started, is Ed would paint a picture of a home near them that was said to be haunted, wherever they were living at the time. And when the picture was complete, he'd go knock on their door and offer them the photograph in exchange for allowing him and his wife to come in and do an investigation of the house. It was kind of a way to start honing their skills as paranormal investigators. But I kind of thought that was pretty interesting. Well, the museum is definitely a place that I would like to visit. We will go there one day. I believe it's in Connecticut, and it's got all of the artifacts that they've taken out of homes. Because most of the time, I don't know if you've heard of Frank Zaffis, but there's another guy called Frank Zaffis. He also does paranormal investigations. And most of the time, the haunt or the demonic entity has attached itself into an inanimate object. So what Frank Zaffis does and what the Warrens did, they would remove these objects from the home if the homeowner did allow them to do so. And most of the time they did. They didn't want their house possessed anymore. So they'd remove the item from the home. Frank Zaffis also has a paranormal museum, and the Warrens do as well. I want to say Frank Zaffis it's in one of the sea. It's either Connecticut, Chicago, it's something like that. Frank Zaffis is. I'll put it down, I'll look it up while I'm editing, and I'll put it down below where his is located, but he's really cool too. He kind of does the same kind of stuff. Him and his daughter, it's really a family affair for them. It's like him and his daughter, his son, they do the paranormal investigations. And I think he had a show for a while. You probably can still find that was on, Travel or Discovery or something like that. Frank Zaffis. But he did a very good job as well. Now, of course, the doll that I'm doing, you saw the costume, is going to be from the newer Conjuring movies. I just think she's kind of creepy. I mean, Nobody looks at Raggedy Ann and says, ooh, that's creepy. I mean, maybe you do. I mean, some people are just afraid of dolls in general, and she is kind of like a clown-faced doll, so if you don't like clowns, it might be a problem for you. But Raggedy Ann is what it originally was. It was a Raggedy Ann doll, a really large Raggedy Ann doll that was given to a young woman, well, age 28, named Donna by her mother as a gift, like a birthday gift or something. And the daughter and the sister started noticing that they would put her down somewhere and she would start moving on her own. Things like that would happen. So they ended up going to a psychic, like a psychic medium. Not Ed and Lorraine yet, but just a psychic. And the psychic misinformed them that this doll was in fact moving on her own because a young girl, I think like age 7 or something, died. And the girl's name was Annabelle, but she had been hit by a car right out front of their location. And that the Annabelle, the spirit of Annabelle, this departed young girl, had attached herself to the doll. Sounded feasible, so they went back home, and when worse things started happening, more physical things, they knew that that wasn't right. One of the things that happened was that the husband of Donna, the owner of the doll, was laying down on the couch one day. He was taking a little power nap, and he woke from a nightmare, just startled, heart racing, sweating, and all these things. Donna went to check on him. Are you okay? What happened? Did you have a bad dream? And he was like, yeah, actually. Points at the doll, which was Annabelle, and was sitting right there in the living room or something where he was sleeping. And he said he had this nightmare that he could feel this doll climbing up on him, and then she came and was choking him out. He got so frightened and irritated by both the nightmare and the doll sitting there like staring at him that he picked up the doll and threw it across the room and cursed the doll. Screw that doll, get it out of here. Whatever it was he said pissed the doll off. The next thing you know, he had scratches on his abdomen, like 4 scratches going one way, 4 scratches going down another way, just like if it was a cross and it was bleeding through his shirt. That's when they realized that it wasn't a 7-year-old girl that they were dealing with, that it was something more sinister. That's kind of just only one thing that happened. All right, that looks pretty good, pretty covered. You see what I mean? How it's gonna look not like regular skin, a little lighter, a little more fake. That's what I was going for. Looks kind of blotchy right now, but when it dries, it won't. So, yeah, that looks good. I'm not going to matter too much with this costume. I'm probably going to do my hands too. Of course, I'm going to do that later. But yeah. Ooh, scary. All right, let's see what we're going to do next here. I would have loved to have met Ed and Lorraine Warren. That would have been like awesome. I'm going to highlight with some white, kind of like in the T-zone here, because that looks kind of like what's going on. I've got the picture of her where it's, you know, a lot of the shading is shown. So the shading under the lip, the smile lines, and all of that, to see where the shading is, because that's really going to add to the accuracy of the makeup. So it looks like her blush is a little darker too. I might use it something different than this powder rouge. I might use like my magenta. I'm going to use my magenta, I think, from Mayron, the Mayron Aqua Magenta. I think that's what I'm going to do for that. Remember I told you you're going to need a lot of white if you're doing costumes pretty regularly? I bought 3 of these, like, I don't know, recently. I'm almost through all of them. That's not good, but I'm not really going to be doing much else this year that requires a lot of white. So T-zone, all the kind of protruded areas, we're just going to highlight a little bit with the white. Yeah, Ed and Lorraine Warren are like the Johnny and June of paranormal investigators. But just so freaking cool. I love them both. So you can kind of see the areas that I'm hitting. Sometimes I wonder if the lighting is maybe too bright. It kind of looks all white, but it's not. You should be able to tell in the pictures. Little on the throat too, like right in the middle. She was really kind of a dirty looking doll, wasn't she? Like her, like, you know, in the original, well, the first Annabelle movie, she kind of looked real dirty. So we're going to do a little bit of fake, you know, fair wear and tear. And then she's just got 2 little rosy little dots on her cheek. I'm using my Marron. This is the light pink Marron. I also have a magenta. I wonder if I should have used that. A little too wet. This shows up pretty dark. You gotta... Why am I going for the cheeks first? I don't know. I usually do my brows first, but I think I'm just excited. Sometimes when I'm excited to see what something's gonna turn out like, I just kind of skip to that. And that looks good. So she's got kind of an angry brow. I think we're gonna go to that next. Remember, when you're going out, don't forget to use your final seal. They do sell it in smaller bottles and this bigger bottle. Just get the small bottle if it's just for Halloween. You don't need to spend a whole bunch on that. So she's got real thin brows and they're actually above her brow line. You can hear my kitty cat wanting to get in. It's got a little bit of dirty lookingness around it, but I kind of like it because she's kind of dirty looking. So that's just an accident, but it looks good, so I'm keeping it. Kind of makes it look cracked and old as well, so I ain't too worried about that. Like I said, with the Ben Nye Aqua, it is kind of hard to draw on it sometimes with the pencils. And this is not a Ben Nye cream pencil. This one's actually just the L'Oreal. I did have the Ben Nye cream pencils, which work really well, and that's what I would suggest if you're going to be getting the Ben Nye Aqua and using it to using these to paint over the aqua. Get the professional Ben Nye cream pencil, and that will work the best. I went a little thick with the eyebrows there. I think I just wanted them to be closer to my actual brow line, so they got a little thicker. But I think it's gonna look all right. A little exaggerated. Now here, where my actual brow is, I'm painting very lightly. She's got a shadow there, and it goes all the way around the eye. It's really what it is the shadow from the eyebrow, I think. It's casting a shadow on her eye. So it's shaped kind of like the eyebrow. There's actually also a crack on the one side. Let's see. It's actually on this side. Because it's a crack, like I don't want it to be real fat line. This is just a liquid liner. It's a not so great liquid liner. It's working all right for this application. Just any liquid liner. If you're going to do cracks for a dull face or something like that, a liquid liner is going to be your best bet for that. I'm just constantly having to look down at my photo to reference. You know, if you do the box and everything too, like I made the box, you could always do the old school Annabelle, you know, like the original, you know, be a Raggedy Ann doll. And then do it that way too. I mean, why not? Anybody that knows Annabelle or knows about the Warrens knows that this is not what the real doll looked like. So it might go over pretty well, actually. It just depends on what you want to do. I like this one because it's a little creepier. Ed and Lorraine themselves were kind of characters also. So if you're going as a group, you can do Ed and Lorraine Warren. Somebody can go as the nun from one of the Conjurings. Another person can go as Annabelle. You know, that would be a really cool group costume. Another thing that they were saying is that they have to prepare because they believe Annabelle to be demon-possessed. Annabelle the doll. I mean, if Ed says it's demon-possessed, it's probably demon-possessed, but they have to move the doll from time to time. And to prepare for that, they have to soak their hands in holy water and wear welding gloves to handle her. You cannot touch her with your hands. But a couple other stories I'll tell you about. When I'm finished with this eye, I'm going to do the other one pretty much the same way. And I might do that off camera just to save us a little time. I think we're getting there. Oh, yeah. All right, let me do the other one. You can see kind of what I did. There's a little crack on the right eye there. I'm going to do the other eye and come back to you. That looks wicked. So I'm going to just kind of smear a little bit with my Q-tip, my trusty Q-tip, because it's awesome. So the black, what the black does in this case is it's making the eyes look more sunken in, like hers were. And if you can see all that black around the eyes, that's what we're trying to emulate. And it is going to make them appear to be sunken in. I've always been a collector of dolls, so nothing like dolls have never really creeped me out or anything. I have all kinds of dolls, always have, even from a kid. I have even a really cool antique one that my great-grandmother gave me, which was always my favorite one. I had collected so many that I eventually just had to decide, what am I going to collect? Which kind of dolls am I going to collect? And I had to get rid of a lot of them, which kind of sucks because my Meemaw had given them to me, and they did mean a lot to me for a long time, and I always had them displayed in my home. But the bad thing about that is